Pack.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing, Ernie?
I'm doing good. How about you, man?
Doing pretty good.
Good deal.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 13th Dimension. This is our opening show of the third season. Um, I know I sound a little under the weather, but I'm actually doing okay. I just waiting on my voice to come back. And please welcome Ernie Pack from Packman Paranormal and Save Waverly Hills.
Thank you, sir. It's good to be here.
Glad to have you, especially on short notice.
It's all good, man. I understand how it goes.
So how have things been for you, Ernie?
Going well. We made it through the holidays and trying to get on our feet. We got a lot of things in the works right now that we're trying to keep the wheels turning in the right direction on everything, but staying busy. Denise is doing that travel nursing thing, and she's away right now in Indianapolis. She'll be home later tonight, but we've been doing well, doing real well.
That's good. That's good. From what I understand, there's been a bunch of developments going on concerning Waverly Hills here in the last month.
Well, actually, back in October, there was an agreement. They went into negotiations. The two sides, Charlie and the WHHS, uh, went into negotiations to try to resolve things out of court. And both sides made some concessions, and both sides gained a little, both sides lost a little. But the end result is that there is a process that's underway right now to clarify the situation and rectify some of the wrongs that have been done toward Tina and Charlie,
Mm-hmm.
and improve the working relationship between the WHHS and Tina and Charlie. And um, I can't get into a lot of details about it right now because it's still an ongoing process, but I am hopeful that very soon you will see an announcement on the Save Waverly Hills Facebook group that, hey, it's safe to book Waverly again. We're not there yet, but it's real close. I mean, we're gaining. There's just a couple of things that need to fall into place that were promised in the agreement that still haven't been acted on. And once those happen, then I think we might make a joint statement with the WHHS and Save Waverly Hills. Tina, Charlie, board members, myself might get together and do like a press conference on StreamYard or something like this, and basically say, "Hey, it's all good. We're one team now, working toward one goal, and we're not enemies anymore." So that's our hope.
I would say it's about time. There's a lot of us that have been wanting to go back there, but until all this stuff is straightened out.
Yeah, and that's something I told a couple of board members just a couple of weeks ago when we were talking. I said, "Look, I've got a lot of friends across the community that have reached out to me asking when is it going to be okay to go back to Waverly? And I don't tell anybody they can't go to Waverly. That's not my call to make. I'm just kind of a mouthpiece for the Save Waverly movement. But we have said that if you're going right now, you're putting money into the attorneys' pockets that are trying to do Tina and Charlie wrong. So if you could just hold off until this is all resolved, then that money will go toward the building like it's supposed to, and things will be a lot better once you are there. Because right now everything's in turmoil. I don't know if you've talked to anybody that has gone recently, but I have. And a lot of folks have said that the atmosphere of the building is totally different, that the energy they feel is, if anything, sad and angry. There's not, it's just not a good vibe in there right now. And I can understand that. I mean, the spirits see what's going on, and it affects them just like it does the rest of us who love the building. Hopefully it's about to end.
Yeah, I actually had a couple of friends that were there in November, and when they booked it back at the beginning of the year, that was when everything was just starting to come to a head. So they weren't fully aware of what was going on.
Right.
They didn't really have anything negative to say, but they did say that it wasn't quite what they expected. But the experiences weren't all bad. They had
Right.
a good time there. It was their first time being there, from what I understand.
Well, the building kind of sells itself in that regard. The first time you
It,
see that place, you know how it is. I mean, just seeing it and feeling the energy of the building in general. I mean, it's every paranormal investigator's dream.
it
So
is.
the first time you go, it sets the standard for most folks.
It does. And I still remember the first time I went there. The very first time I even saw the building, I was very intimidated just by the size of it.
Right.
I knew the building was going to be big, but I didn't think it was going to be that big.
Yeah. Yeah. When you come up the hill and start coming through the trees, and it starts just expanding and expand. It's like, whoa, it's still going.
Yeah.
It's like, golly. And then
Yeah,
what you see from the backside there when you come up the hill, that's not all of it. There's another wing that juts out, over the body chute out toward the
right.
hillside going down.
I liken it to like you're standing at the side of the mountain, and no matter which way you look, that's all you see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How Waverly is, the way that is laid out.
Yeah. Yeah. That kind of, we always call it like a bat wing design. How it kind
It
of
does.
wraps, like if you're standing in that back parking lot looking up, it kind of wraps around. Whoa. I just destroyed my printer, but that's okay.
That's why my printer is right inside this door, so I can't destroy it.
I left the tray open and my elbow got it. So it'll be right.
So, so how we can pretty much guess from all the lives that you've done and from all the talks that we've all had with you over the time, but would you be able to kind of summarize how the entire experience has been in the past, almost 2 years now?
Well, okay. When things started, I'll try to make this quick, but you're talking about almost 2 years, and there's so much that's happened. When last year, at the beginning of the year, or I guess now it's before last, January before last, when Tina and Charlie had first been removed from the hill, everything, there were a lot of problems. And I had people reaching out to me. I didn't work there anymore at that time. I had quit under Tina and Charlie over a different disagreement that totally was nothing compared to what happened to them. And but people were, they knew that I, was had been associated with Waverly, and so they were reaching to me asking if I could help. And one thing led to another. Wound up kind of working with David Price, who's on the board up there. He was the president at the time, to try to resolve some of those situations, to find out the people that were double booked and get them rescheduled. And I talked to David, and David asked if I would be interested in coming back to work to help host the overnights and help guide some tours. And I love the place, and I was like, sure, I'll do that. Tina wasn't there anymore. My disagreement at that time was with Tina, and so I thought, yeah, I'll do that. And I loved it. I loved getting back in the building. They did give us a little more freedom initially to make some changes in how we were doing things with the overnights. And the time that I had spent away from Waverly, I had visited a lot of other haunted locations that did things that I thought we should have been doing at Waverly. So I tried to institute some of those little tweaks to the way we had always done things, and it seemed to be working real well. I brought in a lot of folks that I knew from my paranormal journeys that had their own paranormal background. A lot of them had been guides before. Todd and Leanne Eskew, Beth Allen, a lot of us. I mean, had a big gang of what they called Ernie's people. And we were loving things up there. And then I started realizing what the real story was behind Tina and Charlie not being there. And I started questioning the people in charge about it. That caused some conflicts between myself and management. And eventually we walked away from there, and I was angry. I was now angry at them. So I reached out to Charlie to get his side of the story. And when he told me his side of the story, I was blown away. I'd been lied to about everything, basically, about how that had all transpired. And Charlie and Tina had been made to look like people that they were not. They're not bad people. They're awesome people.
Yeah.
And so I jumped in right then and told Charlie, we're going to do everything we can to help you. And we started the Save Waverly Hills movement. There were several of us involved with it. I'm not going to drop everybody's name because some of them haven't been sued yet, and I don't want them to get sued. But reached out to you. We were in Newport, Rhode Island at the time after I had talked to Charlie and on vacation, and reached out to you and several other people in the paranormal community to see what we could do to try to help Charlie and Tina out. And it has been a long, tiresome, frustrating, sometimes seemingly hopeless journey. But along the way, we've met some awesome people. We've built an army, Charlie and Tina's army. We've got over 8,000 members in the Save Waverly Hills group. In a fairly short amount of time, it grew to that number. And we got a lot of folks behind us. The support that Charlie and Tina have has been amazing to see. And it gave me a lot of faith in humanity, not just the paranormal community, but humanity in general at a time when all of us are kind of questioning humanity. But it's, now that we're near the end of this war and it looks like we're going to, if not win, we're going to get a acceptable truce out of it. And it's going to be all worth it in the end, I think. What we wanted to see was Charlie and Tina done right, and Charlie and Tina made to feel like they had some control of their own piece of property. And I think that with the agreement that's been reached, um, I think we're going to see that happen once everything is said and done.
That's I'm really glad, and like Brad said, it's never hopeless when you have the truth on your side, and I believe me, I can fully relate to how a journey can seem like it's either endless or hopeless.
Oh yeah, with what you've been through. I
Yeah,
mean,
so I can fully relate to you on that end, and plus, in some aspect, I can understand, how it is about being lied to, but at least you took that step to try to get the other story. Well, a lot of people don't. They just take the one person's side and don't even bother about the other side.
right, and that includes certain paranormal celebrities that I won't name names, but there are some that just started slamming the Save Waverly Hills movement based on their discussion with the Waverly Hills Historical Society. Never bothered to reach out to hear our side of the story, but went public with negative comments about all of us. And, I got to say to anyone out there that might feel like that shoe is fitting right now, um, Waverly does not need you. You need Waverly. And watch what bridges you burn
Yeah.
because you might want to cross that bridge someday and it might not be there anymore.
Yep. I want to say hi to everybody that's out there in the audience. We got Brad, Donald, Robin, Tom. Um, Basically, pretty much everybody who supports you supports Waverly. And in terms of what you were saying about Charlie and Tina with the stuff that they had done, I saw just from the show on Ghost Hunters, I saw the shape that the building was in then
Right.
compared to how it was the first time I got there. Then I compare the first time that I was there all the way up to this last time. Well, kind of last time. Um, they have made so much improvements to this building. And I know that there's a lot of locations out there. They say the money that we get in, we're putting towards the building to improve it. Well, I've been there time and time again. Not one thing will be improved. But
Right.
at Waverly, every year, with the exception of this last one, um,
Right.
well, I told you about that. Every year, every time that I was there was always some sort of an improvement to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I can tell you in the year 2021, I was there as an employee from February until we quit toward the end of July that year. Not
Mhm.
a single thing was done to that building to preserve or restore that building. Nothing.
Right.
Only after we started the Save Waverly Hills movement and started putting that out there that nothing had been done did you start seeing things done. Things like plastic sheeting being put over windows and doors being sanded down and spray painted, things
The,
like that.
the, the one the one thing that I saw that I did not like is what they did to that front door.
Well, the thing about that is the fire marshal had come in. The door that was on there was not up to code, and the fire marshal had given Charlie a pass on it in the past because he knew that Charlie had bigger fish to fry than just worrying about the front door. Because the building doesn't have permanent occupancy, they let him have a pass on it. Well, when the former regime took the place over, they decided to put offices inside the building for themselves. And so, therefore, to have an occupancy certificate, the fire marshal required they be up to fire code with that door. And rather than getting an attractive door that matched the decor of the building, They just hired a contractor to put in a fire door that was up to code. And you've seen it. It's hideous. It doesn't match the building at all. It's ridiculous.
So, so the offices that you said that they put in the building, I am going to guess they put that in that first wing there where all the old offices were at that were normally locked out on the one side, and but on the other side you can get in because that was where the Halloween path was.
Well, you would have thought that would have been the logical place to put them, but no, they put them. They took out one of the most active parts of the building and put those offices in the children's cafeteria. Um, off of the main that smaller section that's off the main cafeteria was the children's cafeteria, and they put up partitions in there, and that's where they had their offices. Now, those offices have since been removed, and they've put them in another location. But that former regime had no concept of historical or paranormal value to the room that they were using for office space. And, it made a lot of people angry. I mean, there were a lot of folks that went up there that had been there in the past and knew that that was an active part of the building. And all of a sudden, nope, you can't get in there. That's offices. So that's one thing that has been corrected is those offices are gone. And so it's getting better. There's a lot of things that, Charlie demanded in those negotiations that they had that they have followed through with already that are, people that come back once it's cool to go back, we'll see that things are turning back toward some semblance of normalcy up there anyway.
It'll probably take at least a year or two to get back to how it was before you guys left.
Yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it? That would be nice. That might take a lot of changes to get back there, but hopefully we're on the right road to making that happen.
That's good. Another thing I want to touch on, which I'm sure everybody can get the irony on this one. One of the things that they have been wanting to do, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they actually wanted to do this before you left, was to get rid of the Halloween the haunted house section, even before you left, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Dale Clark said that there would never be another haunted house at Waverly. And he was made the executive director about, I don't know, I want to say sometime around August or September of last year. And they started tearing out every bit of the haunted house because he said we weren't doing it anymore. You want me to go on? But then they were running out of money to pay their attorneys, and they realized that the haunted house brings in a crap ton of money. So they tried to slap one together real quick in the last couple of weeks before Halloween this past year, and it didn't seem to go over too well. I mean, they made money on it because haunted houses at Waverly Hills are going to make money.
Oh yeah.
But, it wasn't well received by a lot of folks.
Well, I had seen a lot of pictures of the various nights that they had, and nearly all of them pictures, there was hardly a crowd there at all.
Right.
I
Well,
think
they had some crowds. I mean, I can tell you by living, 3 minutes from the gate, that there were times when there was a log jam over there.
Was there?
Yeah, but it wasn't because they were overrun with customers. It was because they didn't know how to get them in and out of there. That was the thing.
Oh, here's the boss.
Yep.
Yep.
Hello, Denise. Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, Denise. I did not know it was your birthday. So everybody out there in the audience, please wish her a happy birthday and flood her profile.
Yeah, she stayed up all night last night saying thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And because she's OCD and she cannot let a message or a post or comment go unresponded to. So she did not sleep last night because of that. And she'll probably do the same tonight.
all I do is I just go through and I just like everybody's post. Hey, I seen it. Like, I cannot type all of that out.
Right. I try to answer, the first 50 or so, and then I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to wait till tomorrow and say, just
Yep.
put out a post thanking everyone and saying, I'm sorry I missed anyone. Because, I mean, there's just no way. And with the way that Facebook does now, it's impossible to keep up with every single one.
Oh, I know. Um, I had a couple hundred this year. And then when you go through all of them, then it says see more.
Yeah.
It only brings up like 5 more at a time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You'd be there all day, literally,
Yeah.
if you try to respond to each and every one.
Well, Denise, hopefully all of these happy birthdays will turn that bad day into a good day.
Yeah. She's it's a full moon night and she's been at the hospital, and I know you've all heard from first responders and medical professionals how the full moon seems to bring out the craziness. Well, she started experiencing that right off the bat this morning. They had a combative patient that they had to
And
strap down and sedate. What's
she's
that?
Tonight, right?
Yeah. She gets off at I think 9:30 and she'll be driving home to Louisville.
What part of India is she at?
She's at IU Methodist, which is right there in downtown.
Have fun with traffic, Denise.
Yeah, on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just trying to get through India is, just during the middle of the day is a night in itself.
Yep.
But now it's Friday night. All the idiots are out there.
Yep.
You're going to have a lot of fun.
There's the Todd. We have to say hello to the Todd.
Hey, Todd, how you doing?
The Todd, Jeremy. The Todd.
So, a lot of the stuff that they had, car driver, a lot of the stuff that they had for the Halloween, I thought was ridiculous. But I will admit there were a couple things on there that I thought were pretty cool. But most of the other things that they had seemed like it just didn't quite fit for a haunted house attraction in a building like that.
I agree. I think that there's a lot of crossover between the horror movie genre and paranormal. We all know that. We'll all acknowledge that. There's a lot of crossover. But in the end, they are two separate things. And they should be treated separately, I think. And Waverly Hills is a place where people died. People suffered. People died. And so you have to have a certain amount of respect when you're doing a haunted house at a place like that. Either you do it as a haunted house with absolutely no reference to the suffering that went on in that building, or you do it in a way that honors the people that were in that building. You don't use real stories of people that were really there, really died, as props for your haunted house.
There was one story in particular I remember. I don't remember who I heard this from, but there was one story in particular where they were talking about the nurse on the 5th floor. And somebody was saying she wants you to remember her name, but her name was never discovered.
Well, that's the thing. And I could be wrong about this. I'm going to have a talk with folks up there when I get the chance, when, everybody's, not afraid to talk to one another and everything, and this is all over with. I would like to have a talk with people because Sarah's story. That is a big part of who Denise and I are and how we got together.
Yep.
And I have always said that I can't prove that story any more than any other story about the 5th floor can be proven. That is based on paranormal evidence. It happens to be a story that I believe because I'm the one that primarily discovered it. It's been added to by lots of people. But I believe in that story. Now, there was a picture found or given to Tina and Charlie by a psychic who was working for one of the TV shows that went up there. That is of a young lady, and all that's on that picture is the name Mary Lee written in pencil. The psychic claimed that she just was drawn to a certain room and looked in the closet and found this picture. Okay? That's the story of that picture of Mary Lee. That's the true story of where that picture came from. Now, there's no way of knowing who the hell this Mary Lee was. That if that picture was indeed found in the building, like the psychic claimed, who's to say that it wasn't just somebody's girlfriend that they had a shoebox full of pictures of? And, Waverly Hills closed in 1961. The building reopened in 1962 as Woodhaven Geriatric Center. A lot of patients went in and out of all those rooms over those years.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, they have this picture of this lady, and it says Mary Lee on it. So someone apparently decided to go through all the death records at Waverly Hills, and they found a former nurse whose name was Mary Lee Hellenberger, I believe. And it said cause of death, suicide. And all of a sudden, poof, that's the nurse that was found hanging on the 5th floor, and that's the picture. And now they're showing that picture and claiming that picture might not be Mary Lee Hellenberger. Mary is a very common name. And I don't know. It's
You say that the psychic found it in a closet?
that's what she said. She said she was drawn to a closet, and she come out of the building and she hands Tina and Charlie this photograph and says, I found this in this closet.
When was that?
That was back in the early 2000s.
Okay, I was going to say, with thousands and thousands of us investigating that building, wouldn't we have found that picture before she did?
Well, with thousands and thousands of us teenagers up there doing everything in every square inch of that building for the 20 years that it sat abandoned, don't you think one of us would have found that picture?
Probably, yeah.
I mean, it's
but
I think that whole thing is just nonsense myself. But I think that they invented that story to discredit Sarah's story, is what I think.
Yeah. But at the same time, as teenagers, would you have been looking for what we look for now?
Not in that way, but as a curious kid, if I had found a photograph of anything like that, I probably would have grabbed it.
Yeah.
I remember friends of mine taking x-rays out of the file cabinets as souvenirs. If you've been up there to the OR, you can see where there were 2 surgical lights. There were 2 bays in that main OR on the 4th floor, and there were 2 surgical lights. I might know a guy who might have one of those surgical lights. I mean, that kind of stuff, would have disappeared a long time before that lady was in the building, is what I'm saying. But that's my opinion. I can't prove it, but I'm entitled to an opinion.
Right. The one thing that I was really disappointed in was the disappearance of that picture of the lady in the
Lois.
They're on the 2nd floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that I always looked for that picture because I always wanted to go to that closet, and then this last time, poof, it was gone.
Yeah, we think that Things Network probably stole that when they were up there. No, it disappeared sometime, I think, during the 2020 season. During a
Actually, I was with another network at that time.
Yeah, okay, we'll give you a break then.
Yeah.
No, I don't know who took it, but it disappeared. We didn't notice it until we went in there on the weekend to give the public 2-hour tours because you typically don't go looking in all the closets of all the rooms throughout the week. But then on the 2-hour tours, we would always point out that picture, and say, this is Lois, and is gone. But I mean, in reality, that picture is on the internet. I don't know why somebody didn't just print out another copy and stick it on the wall, But
Was that an original photograph?
no, that was a Xerox copy or a photocopy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So somebody could still, if they haven't already, print it off a copy of that and put that back in there.
Yeah, exactly. If I ever get back up there under any capacity, I think I'm gonna make a nice framed picture of Lois, and I'm gonna use the pretty picture of her, and not just the sickly one from Waverly. I'm gonna put both of them side by side to show people what TB did to her, because
Yeah.
there's a picture that's on her tombstone down in Smiths Grove, Kentucky, that apparently the family would rather her be known from, and she's a really pretty young lady, and her story is very sad and always touches me every time I tell it. And there's a lot more to the story that we don't tell out of respect to her, but I care about her, and is she the one that loves me? They all love me, Brad. Come on.
I was going to say they all did.
Denise used to make me sing Elvis to her, and in reality, I'm not a good singer at all. But when I would do that, sing some of the old '50s Elvis songs, just a couple of lines from them, I mean, equipment would light up, and it seemed to really get a response out of her. So next time you go, you're a better singer than me. You do some Elvis when you go.
Well, if I have my voice back then.
Yeah.
So
Don't be in there, like, oh, you
exactly.
should do some Joe Cocker or something.
Oh, I don't know if I could ever try to do his. So with the idea
Right now,
having a picture,
that'd be a good time to try.
Sure. But with the story of having a picture of Lois there in her room, are there other patients that you know of for sure that were there that there are pictures of them somewhere that you might be able to post up in other rooms?
Yeah. There were in the lobby, or in the laundry room last year. When I was working there were a couple of photos of some different patients that had been there. Some that had passed, some that had survived. Like Denise says, John Mitchell, we know what room he spent some time in, and we've got photos of him. And the Historical Society, always in the past, was reaching out, trying to get any family members of former patients or anything who had photographs, knew any of their story, knew what room they might have been in or anything like that, to get them to them. And I know Tina has had a lot of people reach out to her, and she's got a lot of that information. And that's one of the reasons why Tina and Charlie need to get back into having something to do with that place, because the wealth of knowledge that Tina and Charlie have about that place will be lost without them. Nancy Shoemaker was the longtime historian for the Historical Society back when Tina and Charlie first created it. She passed away in late 2019, early 2020, and a lot of that knowledge passed with her. And I would like to see a serious effort made to try to preserve as much of that as we can, and tell the stories of the people, the true stories of the people who truly did experience something there, as far as living there or dying there.
Right. Well, I know of a couple people that I'm sure would love to do something like that if they had the kind of time they could devote to that.
Yeah, yeah, I know a few myself.
Yeah.
Uh, Last year, Denise, myself, Beth Allen, Todd, and Leanne, we were all um, doing everything we could, scouring whatever resources we could find to try to get any information we could on any of the patients or any of the stories that we would tell up there on the tours because we wanted to be accurate. And um, you know, I don't know if anybody's doing those kinds of things now or if they're looking for whatever's the easiest and most dramatic story to tell.
Yeah. We all know what direction a lot of people like to go when it comes to that.
Yeah, yeah, and we've seen that. You've seen it, I'm sure. I have at other haunted locations. There are some places where the stories you hear on the tours, you can easily look them up yourself and see, nope, that's not what happened at all. you know, I'm not going to drop any
Mm.
locations, under the bus or anything like that. But I mean, there's several places that, I mean, I just doubt the legitimacy of anything they say the first time one lie comes out of their mouth, especially when it's something that anybody can find out the truth about.
Oh yeah, there's a couple places that I've been to over the years where the homeowner, where the owner of the building is just spitting out stories that are just completely unbelievable.
Yes.
Yeah.
They,
So
a lot of people, they buy a haunted location or they get in charge of a haunted location and they think, well, I've got to I've got to make this interesting so that I can make money off of this. And
yeah.
so they either invent stories or they go with urban legends that they've heard or whatever, and they don't bother verifying it themselves. And then they bring in tour guides who aren't paranormal investigators themselves, and they just want to be involved. They want to be on TV. If maybe Zach will show up in film or something, and I can meet Zach. They want to be a part of things, and they don't do the research themselves, so they're just basically reading from a script with no passion or no knowledge about what they're talking about. And that is something that, I've always had a problem with and tried to direct myself away from as a guide. Um, you know, I think anyone who's taken my tours, I'd say probably half the people who've taken my tours have seen me choke up on a tour when I'm telling a story. Um, because I do have a passion for it. And I do try to be truthful and honest and as detailed in the stories I tell as I can without taking all night, which is why I need Denise beside me to say, come on, they don't need to hear what color his shoes were. And
Well, when you're a storyteller, you got to be as descriptive as possible.
exactly. Thank you, Jeremy. Tell Denise.
And and one and I've only taken a small portion of your tour. That one time I was there because I was running around with a camera. But I remember
Mhm.
specifically, and I think it was in Lois's room when I met up with you. You, the crowd of us that was with you, you told us now. Here's the story that had been told to you guys over the years, and you told that story, and then you said, "But here's the research that we did, and this is the truth of this room."
Mhm. Well, it might not have been Lois's room then, because basically the story that they tell is the truth about Lois for the most part. Sometimes, depending on what guide you have, sometimes they Denise, Steve,
This room is the one that had the sister with her.
that was Lois and Audrey. Some people will, say that uh, Lois was the big sister and Audrey was the little sister, and blah blah blah, or they just get different details of the story confused. And we went to great lengths to verify everything and get the truth and the chronological order of everything about Lois last year when we were up there. And I think that when you get to the truth, I mean, that's the thing that's amazing about Waverly. The urban legends and the stories that are sometimes told are really not as good as the true stories or the stories that come through paranormal research or whatever. And but it becomes part of the script or it's part of the urban legend. Like Timmy. I mean, there's this phony newspaper article that was created. Um, if you saw my post on Pac-Man Paranormal today, you saw those Bonnie and Clyde little news clippings that I did of a photo shoot with Denise and I. And
You hadn't had a chance to look at
yeah,
anything.
if you see that, I did that myself, sitting here at this computer, and I'm not a technical genius or anything. Someone could pull one of those up online and say, "Wait a minute, Bonnie and Clyde didn't really get killed; it was somebody else." And so someone had created this phony newspaper story in that same way about a little boy named Timmy that had fallen off the roof while chasing a ball.
Okay, I see
Never
it.
happened.
Outlaw couple behind bars.
That's yeah. There's a whole series of those,
I see that.
but you know
That
the
looks
I mean,
good.
like Steve says, the true stories are so much better. I mean, it's just like he says, like the real experiences are so much better. It's like, as a paranormal investigator, most of us don't care to go into commercial haunted houses where you got people with bad makeup jumping out going, I mean, that does nothing for us. But if
No.
we're in an abandoned, empty building and just, 4 or 5 of us there and something jumps out and goes, yeah, you might crap your pants, and you're going to talk about it from now on.
Yeah.
The real thing is a lot better than the phony stuff.
With all the knowledge that you have, Denise, Todd, Leanne, Beth, Charlie, Tina, all of you, you guys could probably each write a book based off of your own knowledges, and no two book would be the same.
Right. Or maybe even a series of books.
Yeah.
Might happen sometime.
I would expect it.
Might happen sometime.
Okay, I got to bring this one up. I have got to bring this one up because that is perfect.
The Biscuit Bandit. Yes.
Yeah, that is perfect. And I just saw that picture where you called Denise the biscuit tease.
Yeah.
So, okay, I don't know if you've really ever talked about this on a podcast. I'm going to ask you now.
Okay.
What is this fascination that you have with biscuits?
It's okay. Denise hates gravy. Okay.
Okay.
I am a country boy. I have grown up looking forward to taking trips with mom and dad and stopping at Cracker Barrel and getting a slice of country ham and biscuits and gravy all my life. It's like my comfort food, something that I love.
It's the perfect breakfast, biscuits and gravy.
Thank you. She's like, what? You're putting uncooked dough over a cooked dough. I don't get it. I mean, that's her response. That's her take on gravy and biscuits. But anyway, it's always been a comfort food for me. It's not my favorite food. My favorite food's a good prime rib. But we, how her and I banter. Well, she recorded me out on the back porch one day, and I was just sitting back there. Back when I smoked, I was sitting back there smoking a cigarette, and I was looking all depressed. And she said, "You want to tell everybody what's wrong?" And I said, "I don't have biscuits." And was just kind of being sarcastic at the time because we didn't have any biscuits at the house. We didn't have anything to make. We didn't have sausage or bacon in the refrigerator at the time. Nothing like that. And so, I just went on this long rant about how I just need a biscuit. I need a biscuit in my life. I need one. And so that kind of caught on with the paranormal community, and I became Mr. Biscuit. And Denise, shortly after that, she ordered me a shirt that, you know, has a picture of biscuits on it, and it says "Got Biscuits." And when the shirt came, I wore it for the first time to Cracker Barrel, and we went in there, and I ordered biscuits and gravy, and I was like, you know, yes, here we go. And the waitress looked at me and said, "I'm sorry, but we're out of biscuits." And she was dead serious. And so Denise pulls out her phone and says, "Hang on, I got to record this." So we did a little TikTok video or whatever with that, and everybody loved that. So, you know, I mean, the biscuit legend just kept growing, and now I guess I'm Mr. Biscuit, but or the Biscuit Bandit, as Brad said.
I just remember the first time I saw that, it's like, okay, something's going to happen here. And then next thing I know, I'm seeing biscuits everywhere. And
Yeah.
everybody that's posting that has something to do with biscuits are always tagging you.
Oh my gosh. You know that biscuit and gravy fountain? There's a picture of a biscuit and gravy fountain. It's like one of those chocolate fountains or something that you see at different places.
I've never seen one like that.
Well, there's a meme that goes around of a biscuit and gravy fountain. I will bet you that I have gotten that, you know, gotten tagged in that no less than 2,000 times. I'm not exaggerating.
And I have not seen that
Every
one.
time it goes around, somebody tags me in it.
Oh, I see you got a little visitor behind you.
Yeah, Red decided he wants to be on the show.
Yeah. Hi.
Red, you want to say hi? He heard me say biscuits. That's what it is.
So I take it he's your biscuit companion?
He is. It don't matter what you have. He's a food hope. I mean, he will do anything for any kind of food. He doesn't care. If he sees you eating it, he wants it.
I've had a couple dogs that were like that too.
Yep. Red does not need his eyebrows, Denise. Draw the eyebrows on the dog.
Okay, so speaking of animals, before we closed out the show tonight, I would like to touch up on another thing that you and Denise do quite often, and that is go Sasquatch hunting.
Yeah.
Every so often, I forget his name. You've even had me talk to him one time.
Yes.
He's got this big old beard.
Yeah.
You guys are with him quite often going out there into the woods.
Yep. He's one of my dearest friends. I don't know if you can see that. There's a picture of him with our daughter, Cora. Greg Yost, Squatchman. Greg Yost, Y-O-S-T. And anybody in the world that has any interest in Bigfoot or Bigfoot hunting, you need to follow this guy. He has a relationship with what he calls the forest people that if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would think the guy was totally nuts. But he just goes out there and starts talking to them, and they respond. And we've had some incredible experiences out in the woods with him. There was one night we had 7 trees get pushed over about a minute after Greg said, what was it? He said, "My friends, I want you to do something epic for me tonight. Show me your power. Show me what you can do. Show my friends here what you can do." And within a minute, you hear the first tree fall. Bam! And then another one. Bam! 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 I mean, 7 trees. And there was no wind, no rain, no reason for trees to be falling, but they were falling all around us in the forest. And we were like, incredible.
That's too much to be too much of a coincidence.
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, and the stuff that we witnessed after that, I mean, it'd be a whole other show if I went into that whole incident. But we actually saw a creature up in a tree where one of the trees had fallen into the bough of another tree and got lodged, and it was just kind of at an angle over the road like this.
Yeah.
And um, Greg and I are standing behind the van. Denise and Cora were in the van because it had started sprinkling at that point. And we start hearing a tree shaking, and we look up and we see this thing up in that one tree that the other one was wedged in, just going back and forth like this. That thing breaks loose. The one tree breaks loose and falls to the ground. The creature jumps down out of the tree and runs off into the woods. Denise and Cora had gotten out in time to see that happen. And I mean, it was like, you just couldn't catch your breath. It was like, did I just really see that? I mean, it's just incredible. And, we're not going way out in the middle of nowhere in, the Pacific Northwest or anything. We're going 40 minutes from the house here over in southern Indiana. And we have experiences just about every time we go out there with him. Something happens.
Well, I know I definitely need to come out there. You've told me I need to come out there. My buddy Tim Kohler definitely needs to come out there because he's a big Sasquatch fan himself.
Yeah. He needs to meet Squatch Man. He really does.
Well, I just sent him a friend request. I'm surprised I wasn't friends with him before. But I just sent him a friend request. Maybe one of these days I'll get him on the show and have him talk about his stories.
Oh, man. I'll tell you what you will do if you have Squatch Man on the show is you say, hello, I'm Jeremy York, and this is Squatch Man. And then you can just sit back because he can talk nonstop. You don't have to ask a question or anything. He will go just break it all down for you, and you'll have to tell him to shut up when the show's over.
So basically, next time I lose my voice, get him on the show.
Yeah, exactly. He'd be a good guy to have on when you got a voice like this.
Yeah, that'll work. That'll work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he talks Ernie.
Okay, I was going to say.
Yeah. I knew that's what she meant. She had a stroke.
Well, I know a lot of people who can really, really talk. One of my dearest friends who actually just passed away a year ago, you cannot get a syllable in, let alone a word. You can't get a syllable in with him.
Right.
But man, the stories that he had.
Yeah. That's the way with Greg. I mean, we go out there, we say, hey, you want to go squatching? And he's like, sure. And, to be honest, I don't think Denise and I would care if we never walked away from the campfire, if we just sat around the campfire all night and talked to him all night, because his stories are fascinating and just the way that he tells them and his personality is so engaging. He's just an awesome guy. I mean, we love him.
Well, hopefully one of these days I'll get the chance to meet him and investigate with him.
Yeah. I'll try to help you get hooked up with him anytime on that. And because he's somebody that the ground community, especially anybody that's into cryptids, they need to get to know him because he's an interesting person. That, like I say, he's got this rapport with the forest people that is just, it's unbelievable.
It's good. Well, like I said, I sent him a friend request, so hopefully he accepts that. If not, you can yell at him for me.
I'll yell at him. I'll throw something at him if I have to. He's 6'6" and he's a warrior, so I don't know if I want to mess with him, but I'll throw something at him from a distance.
All right. Well, we were at the top of the hour. Ernie, thank you so much for being on this show.
You're welcome. Anytime, man. If I'm free and you need to be bailed out, just give me a holler. I think I've done this one other time. I think you and Nick had gotten in the same kind of situation a year or so ago, and I jumped in and
the original guest he had to back out 6 hours ago. I was like, well, Ernie, are you available tonight? Because I know that with you and as involved as you are in the Save Waverly program, there's almost always an update every week.
Yeah, well, like I say, since that agreement was worked out back in October, early November, we've kind of been laying low with everything, just waiting to see how everything plays out. And it looks like things are going in the right direction. And about to come to a head. So I think Denise and that's why one of the reasons why Denise and I have decided to go ahead and start our podcast back up um, this Sunday night, and because now we can be Pac-Man Paranormal again and not just save Waverly Hills, and so we're looking forward to that. Um, it got to a point where I was wearing a Save Waverly Hills shirt every day, everywhere we went, because I was always on a podcast or on the news or always speaking for Save Waverly Hills, and so I was always wearing the gear. And around this neighborhood, everybody sees a shirt and wants to talk to you. They just like, so what's going on with Waverly Hills? Why do we have to save Waverly Hills? What's going on? So I'd have to tell the story 40 times a day, and you know, which I didn't mind doing it, but I'm glad to be able to not have to do it. I'm looking forward to the moment when I can just get back to. Not yet, Steve. Not yet. We're real close. I will definitely make an announcement when, as soon as it is good to get tickets. Um, but we're real close. Just
Oh, even though we spent more than half the show talking about Save Waverly, I'm glad I was able to get to throw in the biscuit stories and Sasquatch in there for you.
yeah, yeah,
Give you a little bit of a change of pace.
right, right. Yeah, it's I don't mind talking about Save Waverly Hills, because I mean I am all in with this. I'm firmly behind Tina and Charlie on this, and I'm firmly behind that building and the spirits up there. And I just want to see everything work out for the best, regardless of who's in charge up there.
Right.
I want the building and the permanent residents up there to have what they need, and be treated the way they need to be treated. And I do feel like Tina and Charlie need to be treated right, because they've been done wrong, and I'm all in to do anything I can to try to help resolve that situation for them.
Well, in addition to treating everything right, treating the building right, treating the spirits right, it's also a matter of helping the spirits tell their stories.
Yes.
And I'm sure
That's,
that,
as a paranormal investigator, that's what we are. We're their voice. They
yeah,
don't have a physical body anymore. It's very difficult for them to muster up the energy to manifest a disembodied voice or even come through on a spirit box or anything. So we are their voice. And that's what I've always tried to be, whether it was at Waverly or, just on an investigation anywhere, is to talk to the spirits and talk for the spirits. And hopefully we can get back to doing that again real soon.
I look forward to it because I cannot wait to get back into that building.
Can't wait to have you. I want to see that dog whistle thing again in the body shoot. That was cool.
Oh, I was so looking forward to being able to follow up with that last year after the experiment I had 2 years ago.
Right.
I was so looking forward to following up with that because I had ideas as to what I was going to do last year. And then when shit hit the fan, okay.
Well, we just put it on hold. I feel like the movie Braveheart, where Mel Gibson's sitting there saying, "Hold, hold, hold." That's how I feel about everybody wanting to go back to Waverly. I feel like I'm standing in front of them.
Well, we can't wait until that gate comes down and then we can all just storm Waverly, basically.
Exactly.
That's you ought to have your first party, the Storm Waverly party.
Well, we'll have to figure out how the logistics of everything work out once everything is good to go. And I'm sure that when the opportunity comes up, one way or another, Pac-Man Paranormal will be there, whether they're working or they're as guests ourselves. And if we book a private overnight, we'll probably have 70 people come up there with us or more. Who knows?
I have told people, even though we always discourage from having too many people, Waverly is a big enough place where you can have about 50 people there and still not run into people.
Right. We used to, last year, we started, the cap on public overnights has always been 50. And I talked them into allowing me to bring in extra people last year. And there was one night, I think we had if I'm not mistaken, Denise, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there was a night where we had over 80 people there for a public overnight. Nobody complained. It's 187,000 square feet. Do the math on that. You've
Yeah.
got like 3,000 square feet a piece. It's it's a big place, and what would usually happen last year with the way that we were doing things with Todd and Leanne, myself, Denise, Beth, and the rest of our team that we had up there last year, we found that we could have 70 people there on a public overnight, and wherever we went, there'd be 30 or 40 people just following us because they wanted to hear our stories. They wanted to see our experiments and see our communication with the spirits and that kind of thing, because they could see our relationship with them and the responses we were getting because of our approach. And so that left 30 or 40 people to have the rest of the building to themselves. All they had to do is stay away from us. And, and they weren't bothered by anybody.
Well, maybe one of these days you can do like a little speaking tour and go around the country talking about Waverly.
Well, if you want to be my agent and get me booked up for that and put the money in my pocket, I'd be more than happy to do that.
Knowing me, you wouldn't have a break and you'd be firing me real quick.
Yeah, I'd hire a real agent soon.
Yeah,
but no, for me, I have done this since, well, I mean, on some level, since I was a teenager, and I've never really made a dime off of it. There's a couple things that we've done that we've gotten paid for, but it was basically covering expenses. But I got paid as a guide at Waverly, but that was work. But I don't do this for money or for popularity or anything like that. I do this because, like I said,
you have a passion
for it. I have a passion for it, and I feel like someone has got to be the voice of the dead, if that makes any sense.
Brad, that is a brilliant idea. Ernie, you can become our first. Well, I doubt you'd be the first, but a paranormal diva.
Yeah, demanding biscuits at every location.
Demanding biscuits at every location, and you won't do your skit until you get said biscuit.
That's a thought. Now, there's a few locations, like from that photo shoot that we did. That was done at the Old Stone Jail down in Franklin, Kentucky. And those biscuits are there. They're still there, those same biscuits. There's a few places that we've gone to, haunted location, where they have these prop shellacked biscuits sitting there. And I got to look at them right. And I can't eat them. And it's torture. It's torture, people. Come on. You're going to put biscuits. I want some biscuits I can eat if you're going to have biscuits in your building when I'm here.
So in other words, if there's something we want you to do, we can withhold the biscuits until you do, and then we can give you the biscuit as a prize.
Well, you gotta at least dangle the biscuit out there like a carrot to lead me to it. You can't just say, oh well, you might get biscuits if you do this. No, I got to see the biscuit. I might even need to smell the biscuit.
Be like that old guy in the fishing gear with the dollar bill and the guy.
Oh, you almost got it. Yeah.
Yep.
No,
okay.
None of that.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Brad. I like that. Okay, well,
Brad had some terrible ideas.
Okay, so let everybody know where they can be able to find you, and then we'll close it out.
All right. Well, I'm easy to find. Just like on the screen there, Ernie Pack. Find me on Facebook. I don't do a whole lot of the other social media pages, the Instagram and all that. I just stick to Facebook because I'm busy enough with just Facebook. But Pac-Man Paranormal is our group. That is just Denise and I. We have people asking to join all of them. If we're looking for team members, our team, if your last name's not Pack, you're not on the team. That's basically how it goes. But you can find us on Facebook under Pac-Man Paranormal. We're still doing the Save Waverly Hills thing. So there's a Save Waverly Hills Facebook group and page that we're a part of. This Sunday night on the Pac-Man Paranormal Facebook page at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, Denise and I are going to return to doing our own podcast and see how that goes. It's the folks who have watched in the past seem to like the fact that that Denise is very mean to me, and she talks over me, she corrects me, and she demeans me constantly. And everybody seems to like that. So if you're into that kind of thing and you want to see me mistreated, join us Sunday night, Pac-Man Paranormal, and get a taste of what you're in for when we return to doing our own podcast. So
I have a feeling it's going to be quite a successful podcast because you and Denise have this chemistry that most people don't have.
It's weird. It's really weird. I mean, today's her birthday, and I made her a really sweet birthday post. But I don't know where all those words came from. But I did say something in there that I mean. I mean, it's almost like we have known each other forever. People who meet us, they don't believe it when we tell them that we met June 2019. They feel like, we had to have been together for. Steve, it is at 8 o'clock Eastern time. 8 o'clock Eastern. And, really, I met her when she came to Waverly Hills with 3 of her daughters and several of her friends on a private overnight on June 20th of 2019. And, I mean, we just have this chemistry that seems eternal. And couldn't be happier.
And most people never find it.
A lot of times I'm sarcastic. I'll say something smart ass afterwards, but I really mean that.
That's good because most people don't find that.
I've tried several times before I found that. Thought I had it a few times and was wrong, but got it now, and I'm going to keep it that way.
Yep. All righty. Well, for those of you out there in the audience, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for playing along. Ernie, again, thank you for being on the show. Next week, I have Melody Knapp from the Ghost Finders on the show. Looking forward to talking to her. It'll be her first time on this show. First time on this network, actually. So tune in for that. And then we'll have Supernatural Talk next Thursday. And until then, thank you for playing along. If it's paranormal or beyond, it'll be on this show.
Right here.
Good night, guys.
Good night. Y'all take care. Thanks for joining us. We're still live, Jeremy.